It all started with a single clip, just a few seconds long. A quiet road somewhere in China, a silver NIO ET9 gliding over a speed bump like it wasn't even there. No bounce, no shake, no movement at all. Almost like the car was floating. At first, people thought the video was fake, some kind of editing trick, because no SUV, no luxury car, not even a high-end German flagship moves like that. Not Mercedes, not BMW, not Audi, not even the $200,000 Maybach. But then more videos started appearing. And suddenly, the automotive world realized something. This wasn't a trick. This wasn't CGI. This wasn't marketing. NIO had unlocked something real. Something nobody expected from a Chinese automaker this soon. Something engineers quietly admitted they had only seen in concept laboratories, not in production prototypes. They called it SkyRide. But the internet gave it a different name: the magical suspension. Because what this system does goes beyond comfort, beyond engineering, beyond what people assumed was possible for a road car. And here's where the story takes a turn, because the moment SkyRide went public, car experts, suspension engineers, ride comfort specialists, and even journalists from Europe and Japan started asking the same question. How did NIO pull this off? And the answer is where things get crazy. This entire system doesn't just react to bumps. It predicts them. It doesn't just correct your ride. It controls your body movement. It doesn't just turn a rough road smooth. It cancels the road entirely. But the real shock is that it does this faster than your brain can notice. Imagine driving over a pothole, and your eyes see it, but your body feels nothing. Like the world forgot to send the pain signal. That's the ET9's magic. And here's the part that stunned even engineers who tested it. Because when the ET9 approaches a speed bump, the car doesn't slow down the way everything else does. Instead, it rises, just slightly, smoothly, calmly, like it's preparing. Like the suspension already knows the exact height, angle, and depth of the bump before the wheels even touch it. Then, the tires roll over. But the cabin doesn't move. It stays perfectly level, perfectly still, perfectly balanced, as if the car is saying, "Don't worry, I've got this." And this moment, this single, mind-bending moment is what shocked the world, because no car behaves like this. Not the S-Class with e-active body control, not the BMW 7 Series with Executive Drive Pro, not the Audi A8 with Predictive active suspension, not even the $200,000 Maybach. NIO didn't just build a smoother ride, they built a new category of motion. But that's only the beginning of how deep this technology goes. Because when NIO engineers were asked how SkyRide actually works, they didn't talk about shock absorbers or luxury comfort. They talked about physics. They talked about body control. They talked about something that sounded less like automotive engineering and more like aerospace design. One engineer said, "We didn't want the ET9 to feel like a car. We wanted it to feel like a low-altitude aircraft." That single sentence changed everything. Because the ET9 doesn't behave like a traditional suspension system. It uses a combination of high-power actuators, predictive road scanning, and a multi-layered AI algorithm that calculates and corrects body movement hundreds of times per second. Think about that. Hundreds of adjustments every second before you even realize something is happening. And that's where the real shock comes in. Because this system can do things no luxury brand has ever shown publicly. Like stabilizing a full cup of coffee on the dashboard. Like keeping a passenger asleep even during harsh road conditions. Like preventing motion sickness entirely by eliminating roll, pitch, and sway at the source. This isn't comfort. This is control. Total control, and here's the twist that nobody expected. The ET9 wasn't even built to be NIO's flagship sedan. It was built to be a technology platform, a foundation for the company's next decade of vehicles. Which means SkyRide isn't the end. It's only the start. And that's what's terrifying competitors right now. Because if NIO can do this in 2025, what happens in 2026, 2027, 2030? But let's go deeper. Because the suspension isn't the only thing shocking people. The entire design philosophy of the ET9 is something that looks different. Not like a Mercedes, not like a BMW, not like an Audi, not like Tesla. The proportions are low, wide, quiet, and almost calm. A kind of futuristic elegance that feels deliberate, measured, minimal. Like the car is confident in its own ability and doesn't need aggressive styling to prove anything. Every line is smooth. Every surface has intention. There's no flashing chrome, no oversized grills, no loud angles. It looks like the future. But not the cyberpunk future Tesla pushes. Not the boxy luxury future Mercedes imagines. This is a different future. A more refined one. A more graceful one. A future where cars don't shout, they whisper. And I think that's the part that people don't fully understand yet. Because the ET9 isn't trying to beat German luxury with muscles or horsepower. It's beating them with precision, with calmness, with confidence. It's quiet but powerful, simple but advanced, smooth but aggressive when needed. And then there's the interior. When journalists sat inside for the first time, the first thing they noticed wasn't the massive screen, or the minimalist layout, or the new generation NAMI II. It was the silence. A type of silence that felt physical, like walking into a high-end studio. A deep, dense quiet that absorbs everything around you. And then the materials. Soft, warm, calming, not flashy, not colorful, not trying to impress, just premium in a way that feels natural. But here's the part no one expected. The ET9 interior doesn't feel like a car interior. It feels like a private cabin, like a small personal lounge, like a space designed to remove stress instead of adding it. And that's where NIO's strategy becomes clear. They're not designing cars. They're designing experiences. Experiences where technology doesn't overwhelm you. It disappears. It becomes invisible. It serves you quietly, effortlessly, without attention. And the magical suspension is the perfect example of that philosophy. Because when you ride in the ET9, you don't think about the suspension. You don't think about the motors. You don't think about the technology. You only feel nothing. No bumps, no shakes, no discomfort. Just smooth, calm motion that feels almost surreal. But now comes the question the world keeps asking. Why did NIO do this? Why push suspension to this extreme? And the answer is simple. NIO isn't trying to beat Mercedes at being Mercedes. They're building a new identity, a new category, a new standard, something no one else has. They want people to remember one thing. When you experience a NIO, you never forget how it feels. Because here's the truth. Anyone can copy design. Anyone can copy screens. Anyone can copy horsepower. But nobody can easily copy suspension technology that took years of research, millions in development, multiple patents, and thousands of hours of testing. NIO turned comfort into their weapon, and the world wasn't ready for that. But here's where the story gets even more dramatic, because the ET9's magical suspension isn't the final form. Recent reports say NIO is working on something even more advanced, a fully adaptive, active body balancing system that can control cabin tilt in corners so precisely you won't even feel the G-forces. Imagine turning at high speed and your body stays upright, perfectly balanced, perfectly still, like a camera on a gimbal. That's the future NIO is building. A future where motion becomes optional. And this is the moment the world should pay attention.
Because when a company reaches this level of technical mastery, when they reach this level of confidence, when they start building technology that doesn't just match the world's best, but surpasses it, that's when everything changes. The NIO ET9 isn't just a car, it's a warning shot. A message to the world's luxury brands. A quiet declaration that says, we're here and we're not playing. Mercedes owners felt it. BMW owners felt it. Tesla fans definitely felt it. Because once you see the ET9 float over a speed bump like it doesn't exist, you can't unsee it. And once you experience a car that feels like it's rewriting the rules of motion, you can't go back. That's why the world is shocked. That's why engineers are whispering. That's why journalists are rewriting their reviews. That's why everyone is talking about it. Because this isn't just a new car. This is the moment NIO stepped from being a new EV brand to becoming something much bigger. A leader, a challenger, a threat, a pioneer. And when the NIO ET9 finally hits the roads and people begin to feel what this magical suspension actually does in real life, one thing will become very clear. The future didn't arrive slowly. It arrived all at once, and NIO brought it.